So, the Pokemon Presents broadcast for this year was announced, and along with it, they also announced a 7-star Pikachu raid, which wasn't exactly the Pokemon I had in mind. I guess it is still a starter Pokemon, but it is considerably weaker than Charizard or Greninja. But either way, I thought I'd compile some information about what it's probably going to be like, some good counters for it. And so that's what we're going over today. The 7-star Pikachu has the Water Tera type, which does make sense. First of all, the only counter to an electric type Pokemon is a ground type Pokemon, but as a water type, it fixes that one weakness. And second of all, water is pretty good with its weaknesses anyway. Its only two weaknesses are electric and grass, and Pikachu has the hidden ability Lightning Rod, which makes it immune to electric type attacks. You can see where I'm going. The only super effective attacks you can do are grass type attacks, which isn't really the best offensive type. Like I said earlier though, Pikachu is still really weak. It's got a base stat total of 320 compared to Charizard's 534. And I was thinking, it could be possible this 7-star Pikachu could be holding a Light Orb, which is an item that doubles the attack and special attack of a Pikachu that holds it, which would boost its attack to 110 and its special attack to 100, which would still only give it a base stat total of 425 though. Most of these 7-star raids have their main 4 attacking moves, and then they'll have 1 to 4 extra moves. Charizard had a bunch of extra attacking moves, I think, and Greninja had Toxic Spikes and Double Team. And I think I'm going to say this is very likely, but it is a possible move set for the 7-star Pikachu. Up first, Thunderbolt. It could also be Thunder, but either way, Pikachu's going to have a stab electric attack, and it's going to be Thunderbolt or Thunder. Next up is Surf. Obviously, A, Surfing Pikachu. B, it needs a water type stab move. The next 2 attack moves are usually coverage, so I've gone with Play Rough and Iron Tail. Iron Tail, I think that's what Ash's Pikachu knows in the anime, at least for a bit. That's where I got that from. Play Rough is just a good move. That's really what I'm thinking. The next 4 moves could be Nasty Plot, Rain Dance to boost Surf damage, Charge to boost Thunderbolt damage, or Electric Terrain, also to boost Thunderbolt damage. Pikachu does also learn Double Team, like the 7-star Greninja. It could also use Nuzzle to, guarantee a paralysis, or it could use Thunder Wave. There are a lot of possibilities here. Let's say that. There are a lot of possibilities, but I have gathered 9 Pokemon builds for these Tera Raids that I think will effectively, take down Pikachu. First up is the main 2. If you've seen the other video on the Sylveon and Garchomp raids, you'll know who I'm talking about. Iron Hands and Azumarill. They're both very strong physical attackers with the move Belly Drum, which maximizes their attack in exchange for half their HP. Iron Hands can learn Drain Punch, which heals the rest of their health. Azumarill can hold the Shell Bell, which restores the rest of its health. Drain Punch on Iron Hands will do enough damage on its own, but if you want to do more, you can go for the Grass Terra type into a Terra Blast. Iron Hands can also run an Iron Defense. I don't think you'll need it, but it's there if you need it. The only move that Iron Hands is weak to is Play Rough on Pikachu's theoretical arsenal that we just discussed. On the other hand, Azumarill is weak to any electric type attack it has, which is a bit tough. Also, it's weak to Iron Tail if it has that too. Realistically, you'll want to use Iron Hands over Azumarill, but if you don't have Iron Hands, I think Azumarill will work just fine. As long as you can hold out to Terastallize. Once again, Grass type is a decent type to Terastallize into. You can get the Terra Blast off, you can get extra stab on Trailblaze, or Steel's good too. It's always a good defensive type to Terastallize into. Another one from the older video, Grimmsnarl, great support Pokemon for Tera Raids. Prankster lets it move first. It can run Taunt, Reflect, Misty Terrain, or Light Screen. You can replace one of those moves with an attacking move like Terra Blast or Metronome, Spirit Break, Play Rough. There are a lot of options. It can set up Misty Terrain to deal with any status conditions. We were discussing earlier, it could run Nuzzle or Thunder Wave. This could be countered by Electric Terrain, but it shouldn't be too difficult to respond to that. Taunt can deal with stat raising moves. The only real weakness is Grimmsnarl might be weak to Iron Tail and Play Rough. Okay, the first 2 I've not discussed yet. I'm going to call them the Stored Power duo. It's because they both know the move Stored Power. It's Klefki and Slowbro. Klefki, a great Steel Fairy type, brilliant defensive typing. It can run Stored Power, Iron Defense, Calm Mind, Recycle. Has the Prankster ability, which we discussed earlier. It can hold a Citrus Berry, which it can recycle, and it can gain even more health. After enough stat raises, Stored Power will start doing crazy amounts of damage. It's pretty much the exact same with Slowbro, except you can hold the Shell Bell to regain health, or you can use the move Slack Off. The only downside of course, Slowbro is a Water type, weak to electric type attacks. We've been over this before. Klefki might just be a better alternative. Another Paradox Pokemon, Fluttermane, amazing special attack, our base 135 special attack. Very basic build, just a Moonblast, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, and Fake Tears. You can swap out Moonblast or Shadow Ball for Calm Mind as well. Energy Ball is super effective. It'll do enough damage to really threaten Pikachu, I suppose, especially with a few Fake Tears and Carmines off. And then we get to the last three. I need to discuss these all at once because I've built these three entirely myself. The other six are very popular online. The three Pokemon: Jumpluff, Ursaring, and Vivillon. And I know this is it's a weird combination of Pokemon. They don't really look that intimidating, apart from maybe Ursaring. I've devised a strategy. I'm gonna say, quick warning, I devised this myself this morning. I've had the theory in my head for a while. It's not guaranteed to work. It's possible that one or two moves don't work the way they're intended to in raids. So I'm just throwing that out there. This might not work, but it's worth a try. I'll test it myself when the Pikachu raids roll around. So if you want to see the results, you don't want to do the work yourself, you know, you can subscribe. Let's start with Jumpluff. Jumpluff, the build has the moves Pollen Puff for healing, Tailwind for extra speed, Poison Powder, and a Helping Hand. Jumpluff and Vivillon are two very specific Pokemon. They're the only Pokemon in the entirety of Scarlet and Violet that have the specific moveset that I wanted. The way it works, you send out Ursaring. Ursaring has an amazing attack stat, 130 base attack, which almost rivals Iron Hands, which has 140. But Ursaring has the added bonus of the ability Guts, which increases its attack as long as it has a status condition like Burn or Poison. Ursaring can also learn Belly Drum. Not much to say, great move. It maximizes attack at cost of half its health. It can hold a Citrus Berry, so it loses half its health from Belly Drum, but it just gains most of it back from Citrus Berry. And this is where it gets a bit complicated. Ursaring is running the move Thief, which will allow it to steal a move from one of its allies. You can either use Jumpluff or Vivillon for the second teammate. Jumpluff is better because it has access to Helping Hand and Reflect, and it's also not weak to electric type attacks, which is, you know, good for this specific raid. But Vivillon has the ability Compound Eyes, which increases accuracy, and also has, I believe it's a hidden ability Friend Guard, which would make Ursaring take 25% less damage, I believe. But either way, let's just call them the support. When I say support, I'm either talking about Jumpluff or Vivillon, whichever one you want to use. The support Pokemon is holding the Life Orb, which boosts damage, I think by 30%, but it deals damage over time. So what Ursaring does, it's eaten its berry. It uses Thief on its support Pokemon and grabs the Life Orb from it, so now it's doing even more damage. The support Pokemon then uses Poison Powder to poison Ursaring. Once again, has Guts. This will make it do even more damage. The support Pokemon also knows Pollen Puff, so if the Ursaring is getting too low on health, it can heal the Ursaring. Because, you know, Life Orb and Poison, it's going to take a bit out of it. In terms of attacks, you have two options for Ursaring. Either Seed Bomb, which is super effective, it's a grass type attack, or you can use the normal type attack Facade. Not only does it get stabbed from the normal type, it also deals double damage if the user has a status condition, which Ursaring does. It has Poison because of Guts. So Facade will be doing huge amounts of damage. I'd also recommend terrestrializing into the normal type. It's a very inoffensive type. Its only weakness is fighting. Further boosts the damage of Facade. You can also do Grass if you want to boost the damage of Seed Bomb, but either way, you know, either way works, really. Those are the 9 Tera Raid builds that I have collected for the 7-star Pikachu event. It's starting on the 24th of February, I believe at midnight, and it's 3 days later on the 27th at about 3 p.m. UTC. It's weird for a 7-star Tera Raid to end at such a specific time, but it's to coincide with the Pokemon Presents live stream for Pokemon Day. And, you know, Nintendo's doing this huge live stream about, you know, new Pokemon news. If you want a recap of that, or even what to expect, because I'm doing that video soon, I'm making a video on what to expect from Pokemon Day, I would consider subscribing once again. I think it's a good idea personally. Maybe I'm a bit biased.